Hello YouTube and welcome to a new toy review. This time let's take a look at the Playmates Savage Dragon action figure. As you can see, he comes with a blister pack, very similar to the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures from Playmates. Here you see all the accessories listed as tools of justice. And this is the back of the box. Here you can read a little bio about Savage Dragon and other figures available in this line. Savage Dragon, She-Dragon, Barbaric and Battle Damage Dragon. Also, you can see that there are some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles available. For some weird reason, only Michelangelo, Raphael and Donatello. I don't know why Leonardo is not listed here. You can also see that this is a Jim Lee Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line, and I've seen photos of these figures. I think they look really cool, and I think they go for really high prices now. Down here another bio of Savage Dragon and a list of the accessories that you're getting with him. Unfortunately, no pictures of the actual toys on the back. About the character. Savage Dragon debuted alongside the start of Image Comics in the early 90s. You can see the cover of the first issue of the comic book. As you can see, it was kind of edgy and dark and intended for a bit more mature readers, like most of the books from Image Comics really were at that time. This book debuted alongside other popular Image titles such as Wildcats or Cyberforce or the very well-known Spawn. The character was created by Erik Larsen, and he did the artwork and the writing also for the series. But other artists also made an appearance in the comic books, such as the very popular Jim Lee. As you can see, some really nice cover art from him here. And thanks to that, this figure is really an homage for the way Jim Lee drew the character, which I think is really cool, because as much as I like Erik Larsen, I really love Jim Lee too, and I'm very happy to be able to have a Jim Lee version of Savage Dragon here. As you can see on this page here, the art style of Jim Lee is very nicely transferred to the figure, and it looks very reminiscent of the typical way Jim Lee drew this character. Well, the character himself really is just another big guy with big guns and big muscles. He sort of reminds me of the Hulk. That's because he's green, obviously, but also because he's very powerful and he's nearly invulnerable. But what makes this character different from all the other superhero comic books really is that he's not a vigilante. He's a policeman. He works for the Chicago police, and I think that gives him a sort of different kind of edge that we were not used to in the 90s. And really, you don't really see many comic book characters like that even nowadays either. It's kind of unfortunate that you don't see pictures of the actual figures on the back of the box, really, because I would have loved to see how they look like. Thankfully, nowadays we have Google to look them up, but still I'm not really sure how the Battle Damage Dragon looks like. I have another Savage Dragon action figure, this one, so he might be the Battle Damaged Savage Dragon, I'm not sure. On the picture here You can see him wearing a police uniform that's sort of torn up. Well, this one doesn't wear any uniform, he wears a badge, and that's basically it. This appearance is very reminiscent of his first appearance in the first episode of the comic book, where you see him wearing this long trench coat. Also, he's sort of beaten up, kind of reminding me of Marv from Sin City. He's fighting a bad guy, and as you can see, there's lots of blood in the comic book, and it was really edgy at that time and trying to appeal for more mature readers, I guess. So this attire is definitely an homage for that artwork, and this is also a really cool figure. I will show a comparison later when I opened the other one up, so you guys can see them together. And also a third figure I have of him is this one, the legendary comic book heroes Marvel Legends Savage Dragon, which is based heavily on the artwork of Eric Larson and not Jim Lee, and I think it really shows. They look very differently, and I will show them together also after I opened up the figure. So without further ado, let's open up the figure. So here he is opened up, and he comes with a lot of cool accessories like this special issue baton, plug-on holster, a BFG type of gun, and a smaller gun. And also he's got a knife down there at his leg. And he also comes with this mini comic, which is really cool. It reminds me of the Masters of the Universe figures back in the 80s. So he comes with this issue of the mini comic, and you can see him wearing the brown trench coat here as he's driving his motorcycle. And I haven't read it yet, but I guess he meets the turtles, gets in a fight with them, and then teams up with them, probably, as it usually goes. And it was drawn by Jim Lee, and I'm sure this one was released as a regular comic book too, but I don't have it, so I'm really happy to have this in a mini form. And on the last page you can see some actual artwork of the toys that we didn't see on the back of the packaging. So according to this, the Battle Damage Dragon is definitely the one that I have right here. But what's different is that the hand looks open on this picture, and it's definitely not completely open on the final figure. So that is some difference that I noticed right away. I really like the way Barbaric looks. I wish I had that figure. Of course, I think the turtles look really cool. I still don't know why Leonardo is not listed, but yeah, very, very cool action figures to have. So Officer Dragon, out of his package, comes in his really cool police officer uniform. He has a golden badge here that says Chicago Police. He's got a nicely painted badge right here. Again, Chicago Police Depth. Another one right there. Looks very cool. He's got all kinds of holsters and straps around him. And also you can see some nice detailing on the back. He's got a walkie-talkie right here that you can just remove, but it doesn't really fit in any of the hands. I think I can put it in this one if I'm trying really hard, but I don't. I'm afraid I would break the fingers, so I'm not forcing it. It definitely doesn't really fit into any of the hands, but it looks cool. Just secured here too. very official police uniform image we are going for here. He's got this knife, which is also secured by 2 pegs right here, and you can even remove it from the sheath. I think that's really cool, and this kind of details and this kind of attention to accessories, I think it wasn't that common in the early 90s, so it's definitely a big surprise for me that it even comes with a removable blade. He's got his black boots, and on the bottom of the boots you see a number, which is 27,442 for me. So it turns out that these figures are actually individually numbered. So that's cool, I guess. I checked out my other figure, the Battle Damage Dragon. He's got 25,671. Trying to show a little close-up of his face. I think the detailing and the painting looks really nice. He looks very much like you saw him in the artwork of Jim Lee. I love the fin, of course. Sometimes he closes his fin in the comic book. That would be a really cool feature if he could do that. But seeing how Articulation is already limited, this being an early 90s figure, so I can't really expect him to be able to do even that. I love how the shirt is displayed here, and with all the wrinkles and the way the muscles are sculpted under. I think it looks very realistic and very cool. He even has a watch here on his wrist. Also, the fabric of the pants, you can kind of see these wrinkles here in the back and also here on the front. I think this is very well done, and the sculpting looks amazingly good, I think. Also some straps here, and the detailing is amazing, especially for a 90s figure. I can't really emphasize it enough that for a 90s figure this one looks amazingly well detailed. If you take a look at some other figures of that same era, I mean, this is the Spawn figure that must have come out about the same time as the Savage Dragon figure, and as you can see, it has a lot less detailing going on. No sculpted details about the clothes, really. It's just what you would expect from a 90s figure like that. Nothing really more, not going that extra mile that I think this figure is very well doing. About Articulation, you can turn the head. Unfortunately, he can't look up or down. The arms rotate 360. No elbow articulation. You can rotate the wrist though. On this arm, also no elbow articulation. You can rotate at the biceps, and no wrist articulation. You can turn the torso, and you can turn the legs 360, and no other leg articulation either. He can hold his weapons pretty well. Fortunately, you don't have a problem putting either the baton or the big gun in his hands. He can hold them both quite well. You see some nice sculpted detailing on his special issue baton, and also on his trusty BFG gun. They both look really nice. Again, if you compare them to other figures from that same era, you will find that the guns that came with this Spawn figure, for example, I think even though they have some painted detailing, I think they don't look as nice as these weapons that he has. Also, the plastic is a bit cheaper kind of plastic that was used in this kind of guns, and I just like this one better. And again, nowadays it's also sort of rare for an action figure to come with decent guns, especially if you think about the Marvel Legends figures and what kind of accessories they tend to come with nowadays, and definitely not guns with such nicely detailed paint applications. So this is also a very big plus in my book for this figure. Even though the small gun has 2 handles, he unfortunately can't hold it with both hands because there's no elbow joint here, so he can't really hold the gun in 2 hands. But he can have it in either hand sort of securely. He can also hold his knife accessory quite well, even though it looks sort of small in his hand, and this hand doesn't hold it that securely, but it stays in. Last but not least, you can remove his walkie-talkie accessory from here, and you can put on another holster with another gun just there. And again, it looks amazingly well detailed. Look at these holster straps and everything. It looks very nice. It stays on quite well, and you can remove this smaller gun, leave the holster on, and he can also hold it, but as it turns out, only in his left hand, so you can't really put it in the other hand, but that's fine. As you can see, the accessories are sort of designed with the pose, so this kind of pose goes really well with that weapon in the hand. Also, the baton doesn't fit in the right hand either, so you really have no option but put in the big gun there and have him in this gunslinging pose that again looks quite cool, I think. So even with the limited posability, I think the accessories are so well designed that they go so well with the figure that they can actually help a lot and make the limited posing options look that much cooler. Of course, you can put the baton in the gun holster and store it on the figure. Now, to compare him with the battle damaged Savage Dragon figure, you can see that the face sculpt is quite different on this one. He has an open mouth, and it's a little bit different. Articulation is similarly limited. He can turn his head and rotate his arms, rotate his wrist. On this side only the arm rotates and no wrist cut. You have a hip joint that can rotate, although the soft plastic trench coat hinders it quite a lot. And you can also rotate the legs, but they are bent at the knees, so you really don't have many options to pose him other than this kind of hunched position that he's already in. On the back also you can see some nice detailing on the trench coat, all the holes and everything with it. I think it looks rather decent and well done. If limited possibility is a deal-breaking issue for you, then you can always pick up the Legendary Comic Book Heroes Marvel Legends version of Savage Dragon. This figure came out in two versions, one without a tank top and this one with the white tank top. As I mentioned earlier, this figure is very reminiscent of the way he was drawn by his creator Erik Larsen, and it looks very cool. Has a lot of paint detailing going on, from the hairy arms to the nicely detailed and washed jeans. Also his sneakers are quite well detailed. What makes him even more cool is that he's got perfect posability, a lot of joints that you wouldn't even expect from a Marvel Legends figure nowadays, like these individually jointed fingers on each hand that you can pull off some pointing poses and some really cool stuff with. So the hands are very well done, and the articulation, as I said, is near perfect. Head can look up, down, left, right, arms rotate, you have a bicep swivel, you have elbow articulation, hands swivel, also can bend up and down like that. Fingers individually articulated, very nicely done. You have a ab crunch, you can swivel at the hips. Leg articulation, you have a swivel here, you have a ball joint there at the hips, double jointed knees, and decent ankle articulation with a little pivot too. So this is a very cool figure to have. If you like this character, you really shouldn't pass this up. I think he's sort of easy to find on eBay. He's definitely not one of the rarest Legendary Comic Book Heroes figures. That some other ones are quite rare of this line. That was the last decent line, I guess, in my opinion, of the Marvel Legends figures. So I would definitely recommend you to pick it up if you like the character. What I'm trying to emphasize here is that these older figures sometimes can easily be written off as outdated, but in reality you can often get pleasantly surprised if you give them a chance, and they can be really versatile and they can really look good in either a Marvel Legends style of setup of figures like this one, or in a more vintage style setup that you can see going on here, where I have my old Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures, and I think Officer Dragon looks just nice sitting on the shelf with them here. So maybe it's the fact that he was also produced by Playmates, like all the other Ninja Turtles figures that you see here, but I think he fits in quite well. So thank you for watching my review. I hope you liked the figures presented here, and if you didn't know this character, I hope I made him interesting enough for you to look him up, maybe read some comic books, get some figures of him if you like him. Thank you for watching, guys. Take care now and stay tuned for more. Bye bye.